Although kiting is an individual sport, I do kind of see it as a group sport somehow. I mean, it's just more fun together, I would say. It is. I think it's better for the sport as well. And it doesn't always have to be serious, you know. Sometimes you just all go out and go for a piss, everybody trying to do egg mopes or something, and, you know, just having fun. And that's what it's about. Right now we see a lot of people adding spins and adding rotations, and I do it myself too, and I think it's great. But we come to this point of where people put their kites higher and higher and higher just to get those rotations done, and I don't know, I just think there's no limit in it. Like, where do you draw the line when your kite is too high and when not? So right now for me, I just want to do some tricks comparable to cable riding while still keeping the kite element in it. You know, we can go higher and we can do a bunch of tricks that they can do. So yeah, I just want to push it, like open up new tricks and trying the tricks that people didn't think about, doing them differently, trying to fill in the gaps, I would say.
The Bahamas. 3,000 stunning islands, islets, and cays. Scattered in the clear waters of the Atlantic Ocean and the Caribbean Sea. From deep and mysterious blue holes to towering pine forests. It is one of North America's last great wildlands.
There's no place like the Bahamas in the world.
A hidden network of underground caverns.
Andros is one massive labyrinth of cave systems. It is totally unexplored.
A place where wild ocean waves collide with calm, shallow seas. A lush oasis, rich with wildlife.
The Bahamas has such a variety of ecosystems and species that you don't find anywhere else.
The Bahamas are one of the world's most spectacular island wonders. As early as 900 AD, the original inhabitants of the Bahamas, the Lucayan, settled on the islands. They were the first people of the Americas to encounter Christopher Columbus in 1492. The Bahamas are believed to be the site of Columbus's first landfall in the New World. He was fascinated by the shallow waters that surround the archipelago and called the region Baja Mar, Spanish for shallow sea. For centuries, the Bahamas were visited by settlers, traders, and even pirates. To this day, there are stories of treasure hidden in the islands. Today's visitors come to stroll along beautiful sand beaches and swim in some of the clearest waters on the planet, along the world's third largest barrier reef.
We typically think of the Bahamas and we just think about the beach. And granted, we have some of the most phenomenal beaches in the world, but we're more than beaches.
The Bahamas' 700 islands are spread across more than 160,000 kilometers of the Atlantic Ocean's deep blue waters. About 200 kilometers from Florida's southeast coast. It is a land of boundless white sand beaches, emerald seas, and rugged limestone layers, eroded by time and the savage waves of the Atlantic.
You have caves, you have blue holes, you have reefs, and you have this experience in 700 different islands.
It is a landscape carved from limestone. The archipelago sits atop 3 giant limestone platforms that rise abruptly from the deep. They were once the bottom of a shallow sea. Sediments collected on the ancient seabed over millions of years. Debris from corals, shellfish, algae, and other marine life produced a vast amount of calcium carbonate, which is the key ingredient of limestone. These massive limestone platforms, submerged in the Atlantic, create the foundation of the Bahama Banks. When sea levels were much lower, more than 50 meters of rock were exposed to the elements. Now, on average, only 2 meters poke above the waves. The Bahamian Islands are like the tips of an iceberg. Less than 40% of the total land mass peeks out of the turquoise waters. 100,000 square kilometers of the banks lie hidden below. The largest of the platforms, the Great Bahama Bank, rises more than 4,000 meters from the deep sea floor. At the surface, the waters covering the Bahama banks are extremely shallow. The deepest point is just 24 meters. Satellite images tell this story. The bright aquamarine waters of the banks, typically 9 meters deep, stand in stark contrast to the dark blue open ocean, where the seafloor plunges nearly 4,000 meters below the surface. These two bodies of water come head-to-head at the island of Eleuthera, separated by a single strip of rock just 9 meters across. This is Glass Window Bridge, known as the narrowest place on Earth. The bridge links the northern and southern points of Eleuthera and is one of the only places on the planet where the stormy blue waters of the Atlantic clash with the still turquoise calm of the Caribbean Sea.
You're at that intersection, you look at it, and literally a few feet to one side, you're in deep water, and a few feet to the other side, you're in shallow water. And you have this contrast between very dark blues and very light blues, and it's just a very visually appealing location.
For centuries, this narrow strip of land was a natural bridge. In the 1940s, powerful hurricanes washed away the land. Islanders built a paved road in its place. The Bahamas border the Caribbean hurricane belt, a storm-prone area in the Atlantic Ocean that reaches from the Gulf of Mexico to the Caribbean Sea. Though most of the storms don't reach the Bahamas, passing hurricanes whip up wild winds. The island of Eleuthera has no reef to absorb the impact of passing storms. High and powerful waves that pound the bridge have washed vehicles and people out into the ocean. Two giant boulders sit high atop a cliff just south of the Glass Window Bridge. They are a testament to the raw power of the ocean. The mighty waves of the Atlantic flung these massive rocks ashore. Locals say strong winds gusting off the water pass through these rocks with a loud rumble like the roar of a bull, earning these boulders their names: the Cow and the Bull. The rocky shoreline takes its shape from every passing wave. Limestone walls are sculpted by the sea to create a network of troughs, caves, and coves. Warm and shallow pools nestle in the rock like nature's private hot tubs. This is Queen's Bath, a series of emerald tidal pools burrowed in the rugged coast and ringed by battered limestone walls. Heated by the sun, refreshed by ocean spray, these soothing pools offer a cool respite. Waves whip against the jagged rock face and seep through the pores, slowly widening each crack and ridge.
Over the course of years, this erosion is continuing. As you can see, the seawater is smashing into the rocks. And you can see we call it honeycomb. It's caused by seawater actually crashing into the rock platform and eroding it slowly.
Eventually, these small openings connect and larger hollows form. Water, swept in by ocean waves, collects in these natural basins, creating the magnificent tidal pools of Queen's Bath.